Welcome to Amidst the Chaos, the podcast where we dare to find God in the middle of real life, not just the highlight reel. I'm your host, Amber Gallion, and around here we build on one foundation only, Jesus. In each episode, I'll share my journey with God, wins, wounds, questions and all, and how He brings order, clarity, and peace into the chaos of everyday life. So take a breath, bring whatever you're carrying today, and let's lean into the one who never changes, even when everything else does. Hey friend, and welcome to Amidst the Chaos. I'm Amber Gallion, and today I want to talk about what it means to step out in obedience. Because it's really easy to build big plans and really listen to the big plans that Lord has for you, and then to get caught up in those ideas and then not step out. That is something that has happened to me several times. Sometimes the things I see for my future are so big, then I start to doubt what I can do. Luckily, I don't have to do it in my own strength. And when I look in the Bible, I see several stories of people that are called by God to do great things and them saying, wait, why me, God? Not me. I'm not strong enough. I'm not good enough. Look at Moses. Look at David. And stories like that remind me that it's God's story through me and not my story. And that is very simple, that all I have to do is to obey. But why? The Lord wants us with childlike belief. And when I take that literally, I can go back through, 3, 4-year-old me who was constantly asking questions to my parents. Why? Why this? Why that? Why? How? And the answer to this question came through Teresa Falfoy for me, who opened my eyes to a quote where she said, "There is someone waiting on the other side of your obedience." This means that you could be the start of a chain reaction by simply stepping out in obedience, no matter how big or how small that step may be. And one of the steps was starting this podcast. I didn't know who was going to listen to my podcast. In the beginning, I knew that people who knew me would probably maybe listen to an episode or two to support me. But from then on out, I had to lean on more people than just that. I now have people tuning in from not just the Netherlands where I'm from, but I also see people tuning in from the States. I see them tuning in from Canada, Russia even. And there was one person from Sweden, but I know he's Dutch and he's moving back soon, so that doesn't really count. And when I look at my analytics tab from my podcast, I can see that as soon as I post a new episode, that there are people tuning in immediately. And most of them are people who have listened to previous episodes, which is awesome. So if you're a recurring listener listening to it right now, welcome back. Thank you, and I really appreciate you. And I want you to know that if you are the only one that I get to help through this podcast, it was worth all my time and effort. But I have a feeling that because the Lord asked me to do this in English, which is not my native language, that I have a bigger audience to reach, that there are more people waiting on the other side of my obedience. And part of it was starting the podcast, but obedience in this part of my podcast is continuing to post episodes, continuing to listen to the Lord, what He wants to speak about through me. And the more I do it, the easier it becomes. At first, it was so hard to even just start thinking about an episode. And when I started with the first episode, it took me a couple of hours to write out what I wanted to say and basically read from a script. Then at some point, I switched to talking points and go from there. And now I simply grab my mic, sit down and ask the Lord, okay, God, what do you want me to talk about today? And then just start talking. Where at first I was doing all this deep research and trying to find the best Bible verses to go with whatever I was saying, I am now recording way more relaxed and way more authentic. In 2 days, it will be 2 months since I posted the first episode. And I already experienced such immense personal growth through this process. And it reminds me of a quote that I read somewhere. It says, "A life worth living is a life worth recording." And of course, you can take that literally by recording a podcast like I am. But this was talking about taking pictures, writing a diary, and just an overall documenting of your life. And I knew that this podcast would be a way to record my view on life, on how God is influencing it. And I knew that if I would be doing that long enough, over time it would be visible what my personal growth would be as well. I didn't realize it would be visible after just 2 months. And I think it's a testament to how fast your life can change, how fast your thinking can change if you really invite God into it. It really ties back to my earlier podcast episode where I talked about my baptism, where I got baptized at an event called Out of the Shadows, where I had 2 workshops afterwards that were basically prophetic for my journey afterwards. Where the first workshop was called Overcome Your Obstacles, and the second one, Let Your Victory Sound. And I really feel like I have overcome a lot of mental obstacles in this process. And letting my victory ring, I can only think of a way of doing it that involves God. Because when Jesus was at the cross, he said, Testelestai, which means it is finished. And because of his sacrifice, all you have to do to really win, to overcome all the obstacles, is choosing him, and you automatically get the gold medal. Yes, I'm looking forward to the Winter Olympic Games. That's why I talked about a gold medal. But of course, the prize isn't winning a gold medal. We win access to heaven. And in the meantime, we have the tools to build a life that aligns with God's values, to have him battle our invisible fights, like I talked about in the last episode. We win peace, centeredness amidst the chaos that is this world. And because I'm experiencing this so strongly, I believe that my continued obedience to the Lord will result in a lot more souls saved for the kingdom. And when you can be trusted in the little, you can be trusted in the bigger things. So I know that I have given my life to the Lord to help save others. But before he puts me on a platform to reach many people, I have to start somewhere and trust that the Lord will bring the right people to me, those people that were waiting on the other side of my obedience. And I don't care if you're just listening to one episode and that is enough, or if you're tuning in 3 times a week. I love you both equally. In spirit. I mean, my ego loves the person more that tunes in 3 times a week, of course, but you get it. As long as you're both saved, I'm cool. But if you've really been enjoying this episode or the podcast as a whole, I want to ask a favor. Can you give my podcast a rating on whatever platform you're listening on, whether it's Spotify, Apple, or YouTube? And if you feel like it, just leave a comment to tell me what this episode or the podcast as a whole has been doing for you. Or if you have any questions, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for listening. See you in the next one. And I'm going to end this the way I always do. All right, we'll leave it here for today. Thanks for listening to Amidst the Chaos. I'm your host, Amber Gallion, and my prayer is that today's episode helped you see Jesus a little more clearly right in the middle of your own mess and motion. If this encouraged you, share it with someone who might need the reminder that God is building order, even when life feels anything but stable. Until next time, keep walking, keep wrestling, and keep building on the only foundation that won't move, Jesus.